Well, just cleared the end of the driveway. Hopefully that's the last time this year that we get this much snow. Probably will be. But one of my neighbors was down there and he said to me from across the road, he says he's not worried about the coronavirus. I thought, well, what good does worry do anyway? But it also made me think of a poem I wrote about a rancher who his advice was not to worry as well. And his spirit, his tenacity, his determination, and his passion saw him through. And I'm pretty sure this is going to set us through too. Let's hope so. Don't worry, we'll get through. The old rancher finally gave up the horse and succumbed to an ATV four-wheel. He had to have both hips replaced after the drunk wrecked him and his automobile. His wife and he were headed to town to celebrate their 40th when the truck slid into their lane. A head-on collision, hydroplane in the official report, and they'd been praying for some rain. No doubt at the scene the truck driver was staggering, but lied through his minor abrasions. Trapped in their car, Ma fared better than he, no broken bones, but many glass shard lacerations. The jaws of life were applied, they were freed, and they wrapped up that what was bleeding. Emergency surgery for internal injuries, that's what he'd be needing. It was touch and go through the night, and he didn't awake until late the next day. His wife, bandages wrapped her head, asleep in a chair in his post-op bay. Her touch to his cheek and kiss to his lips spoke eons of the love between the two. Their hands clenched with occasional squeeze. He says, "Don't worry, we'll get through." 6 weeks it took until he returned to the ranch, and then by wheelchair. It'd be another month before he could walk, and credited the prayer. A window gave him view. Pleased the hands-up auntie and handled things right well. Of course, the banker and townfolk figured the old man's ranch would go straight to, well. There was his son to guide the ranch and more than a few able, loyal hands. Those he could rely on, some better than 10 years that knew cow, horse, and lands. Insurance only pays so much, and medical bills began to pile. Ma fretted, and he reassured, chuckling and flashing his now toothless smile. The crash marked the first and last rain of the season, and conditions were now clearly drought. Selling off yearlings was the only way to get through this bout. Their faith was tested, their prayers unanswered. The meteorologist hadn't a clue. Water hauled, he reminded the crew, "Don't worry, we'll get through." He tried riding again, but the pain was too much, and something the doctor had forbade. The four-wheeler his option, an escape from the ranch house and his rancher's working aid. He could stay up with the crew, push cows and keep his tally too. He sure missed his old cayuse and saddle, but this would have to do. They were popping cattle from the thicket, and he let out a curse. The wheeler, too wide for the thicket, driving around, spouting language terse. It wasn't uncommon, the doggerel, but now they questioned his old sense. Hard enough on a horse, and the thicket prickered, razor sharp and dense. That stubborn son of a rancher dove in to drive them cows out. He got caught up in branches. Prickers, his decision was in doubt. He surveyed his predicament, not sure quite what to do. He answered the hand's calls. "Don't worry, we'll get through."